Most people try to break bad habits by fighting them. We declare that tomorrow will be different, that we will finally stop repeating the same patterns. We make promises, set rules, tighten our will, and push ourselves to resist. And for a moment, it feels powerful. But sooner or later, the habit returns. Quietly, naturally, almost automatically. Not because we are weak, but because the habit sits deeper than the place where willpower lives. A habit is not just an action. It is a loop of emotion, tension, relief, and unconscious movement. When we try to stop a habit by force, we are resisting the surface, while the roots remain untouched. The more pressure we apply, the stronger the urge becomes. And each time we fail, the cycle grows heavier. Frustration, guilt, a sense of repeating the same story again and again. We think the only way out is to fight harder, but this approach exhausts the mind and empties the spirit. It turns change into a battlefield instead of a path. But in samurai tradition, habits were never treated as enemies. They were seen as patterns, structures of behavior that could be understood, reshaped, and eventually transcended. In Japanese martial arts, change is guided by a timeless framework called Shu-Ha-Ri. It describes how habits form, how they break, and how a person eventually rises beyond them. Instead of forcing behavior to stop, Shu-Ha-Ri teaches that you begin by observing the pattern, then gently altering its structure, and finally creating a new path that replaces the old one. Samurai understood that transformation is not a sudden act of willpower, but a gradual evolution shaped by attention, environment, and intention. This approach is calm and patient, yet incredibly effective. It removes the struggle and replaces it with clarity. In this video, we'll explore 3 principles from Shu-Ha-Ri that allow you to break bad habits without fighting yourself and without relying on willpower alone. Principle 1. Shu. Most people try to break a habit by cutting it off at the surface. They say, "I'll just stop," as if the action exists in isolation. But habits are rarely about the action itself. They are tied to a moment, a feeling, a tension in the body, a small emotional need seeking relief. When you attack the action without understanding what feeds it, the habit simply returns the next time the same feeling appears. In a traditional dojo, a beginner often wants to jump straight into advanced techniques, but the master always brings them back to the basics. "Watch," he says. "Before you move, understand why you move." The student repeats a simple stance over and over, noticing the small shifts in weight, the impulse before motion, the pattern hidden inside the technique. The samurai knew that you cannot change what you do not first understand. This works because awareness interrupts automatic behavior. When you see the trigger and the emotion behind it, the loop weakens. The habit is no longer an invisible force. It becomes something you can observe, and therefore something you can reshape. To apply this, spend the next 3 days watching your habit without judgment. When it appears, note what you feel, what time it is, what happened right before. Don't fight it, just see it. Recognition is the first cut. Once the pattern becomes visible, the samurai move to the next stage, reshaping the environment that sustains it. Principle 2. Yet people believe their habits persist because they lack discipline. They blame themselves for not being strong enough, not focused enough, not committed enough. But what actually keeps a habit alive is not character, it is context. A habit is triggered by the same place, the same time, the same emotional moment. When nothing around you changes, the behavior has no reason to fade. In a samurai's training, the master often disrupts the student's familiar patterns. He shifts the stance, alters the distance, changes the angle of attack. The lesson is simple. If you place the body in a new environment, it cannot move in the old way. The student discovers that behavior is not something fixed inside them. It is shaped by what surrounds them. This principle works because most habits are environmental loops. You don't crave the habit itself. You crave the situation that leads to it. By rearranging the context even slightly, removing a cue, adding friction, creating a new path, you weaken the automatic response. The habit becomes a choice again. To apply this, adjust one element that consistently triggers your habit. Move the phone out of reach. Change where you sit. Remove the snack from your sight. Add a moment of pause before the familiar action. These small shifts break the rhythm that keeps the habit alive. And once the environment no longer pushes you toward the old pattern, the samurai take the final step, creating a new path to follow. Principle 3. RI. Most people try to eliminate a bad habit as if removing it will somehow create a better life. But the mind does not work with emptiness. When you remove a behavior without replacing it, the old pattern eventually returns. Not because you are weak, but because the brain seeks familiarity and relief. To truly break a habit, you must give the mind a new path to follow, one that feels better than the old one. In the Shu-Ha-Ri tradition, Ri is the stage where the practitioner moves beyond the old form. A samurai no longer clings to the earlier techniques. He transforms them into something personal and alive. The old pattern doesn't need to be destroyed. It dissolves naturally when a stronger, clearer pattern takes its place. The student stops mimicking and begins creating. This works because neural pathways cannot simply vanish. They can only be overridden. A replacement habit works not through force, but through attraction. If the new behavior offers calm, clarity, or satisfaction, the mind shifts toward it effortlessly. The old habit becomes unnecessary. To apply this, choose a small ritual that gives you the same emotional reward as the habit you're trying to break. A moment of grounding, a brief pause, a breath, a sip of water, a short stretch. Insert it at the exact trigger point. Let your body learn a new movement where the old one used to be. With repetition, the new path becomes your default. And when all three stages align, change becomes something quiet, stable, and natural. These three stages, Shu, Ha, and Ri, are not separate techniques. They form a continuous motion, a quiet evolution from awareness to change to transformation. Shu teaches you to observe the habit without hostility, to see the moment it begins and the feeling that gives it shape. Ha shows you that behavior is never fixed. It bends the moment you change the environment that sustains it. And Ri completes the cycle by offering a new path, one that replaces the old pattern, not through force, but through clarity and intention. Modern life encourages us to fight ourselves, to treat every bad habit as a personal failure. But the samurai understood that habits are simply patterns, structures built to protect you at some point in your life. Once you understand them, you can reshape them. Once you reshape them, you can transcend them. Change does not come from struggle, it comes from alignment, seeing clearly, adjusting gently, and choosing a better movement each time the old one appears. The question is not whether you can force a habit to disappear. Anyone can resist for a day or a week. The real question is whether you can walk a quieter path one where change grows from understanding rather than struggle. When you follow Shu-Ha-Ri, transformation stops feeling like a battle and begins to feel like a natural unfolding, a gentle shift in the way you move through your life. Tonight, choose one small step. Notice a pattern without judging it. Adjust one piece of your environment. Insert one simple ritual where the old habit used to be. See how different the mind feels when you stop fighting and start guiding. If this brought you clarity or peace, feel free to like the video and subscribe for more quiet, practical wisdom. Thank you for watching.